Morning, folks. This Tom with the Lindsay Mountain Ranch. We're back at the U Highway project. We've been working on the flooring, actually the subflooring inside the living room for the past few days. We've had some termite damage in the past, so we've opened this all up. You can see, kind of see a little bit of it there. But we took out a bunch of the beams that were bad, and we've rebuilt them. So we kind of wanted to go through and kind of give you an idea of what kind of money you can expect to spend on a project like this. We walked in, we didn't do any of the drywall or anything like that, so we're probably going to have to open it back up. There's going to be added expense on that too. But for those of you who've got these older homes or looking to buy an older home like this and renovate it, this will give you an idea of some of the costs that will be associated. And naturally, this won't be all inclusive. This will be specific to this particular project. So our thing was on the flooring is to get the flooring solid before we started, putting new flooring down. We knew the kitchen was had some weak spots. It had the original substrate underneath of it, which you can see right here. So it was beginning to rot and so forth like that. So what we did is we went over it with a 7/16 OSB and staggered it. So we got 2 layers plus, and we went over, like I said, the original, and I think it's right at, the original substrate was right at 5/8 to 3/4 inch thick. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head without looking. I've done too many other substrates now to remember what that one was. But what we came into was that we needed to be pretty level with our subflooring to the bathroom and the back bedroom. So we've accomplished that with our 2 layers of 7/16 OSB. We staggered the sheets, the first layer and the second layer, and it's pretty level now. Not 100% perfect, but it's pretty darn close. It does match up with the bathroom and the bedroom, so we achieved that. We can go through with the flooring and get it to kind of flow if we decide to use the same flooring in the bathroom and the kitchen here. Cost-wise, the 7/16 is about $16 a sheet, so we had about $200. We had about $200 in materials, probably closer to $300 by the time you get your fasteners. We paid $50 for fasteners, decking fasteners, to put the OSB down. So, and then you're probably looking at another $200 or $300 in labor on that, depending on who you use. So, you're looking at probably $500-600 just on this room here, the kitchen, and that's just got the subflooring down. So next we were worried about tying in the living room here with the kitchen. So we've got the back part of the house pretty well level and nice and flush with one another, the different rooms. But now we're going into the living room, and we knew we had some bad issues without even going in. So we cut an access hole over here where we had a really weak spot. I've already got this all this replaced, the joist, and I've got the first layer of subfloor down. But you see that we've got, we still got 3/4 of an inch or so difference between these two. So we've got to go over with 2 layers on this too. But before we got to this though, the biggest job was getting the joists replaced, and these are the floor joists. You can see there, you can see your base plate on your cinder blocks there. So while we were down here, we noticed that most of the joists had termite damage. There weren't any visible signs of current, termites, active termites. So we've also went through and we've got an appointment to get the whole house and property around the house sprayed, treated for termites. So that's going to be $800 right there just for the treatment. So what they'll do is they'll come in here, and in the holes, the openings in the cinder block that you see, they'll go through and flood those with some kind of termite treatment. And then they should spray all of our joists and everything while they're down in there. And then I think they do some treatment, a lot of treatment on the outside too of the foundation and that. So that's $800 there. But back in here, back to the floor joist. So a couple of them we were able to sandwich the new floor joist, which we had to buy to get the 8-inch height that we needed. We had to buy 2x10s and rip them down. So we were able to sandwich a couple of them together. The others, they were so far gone, we just took them out and put the new ones in, as you see. So we had, between that and the substrate that we bought, we had about $800 in materials that day. We bought 12 sheets of 3/4 inch OSB, so we've got to do multiple layers in here to get everything to line up properly, match up in the kitchen and that. So we had to do 12 sheets of 7/16, and then we had to do 6 sheets of 1/4 inch. So we're going to have 2 layers of 3/4 inch, and then a layer sandwiched in between those two of 1/4 inch, and we should be pretty nice and flush with the kitchen in there. So back to the floor joist here. So, you know, like I said, we had about $800 in materials for this part here. While we were down here though, we noticed there wasn't any support right here underneath the window area to the ribbon plate out front here. So we made we took 2 actually we ripped down 2x12s on that part there. We took 2x12s and ripped them down and made basically kind of a header support there. We did it on both sides of this, on both sides of the heat register here. There's another one right here between the register and the door. So, and then there was already one in place over here underneath the door. So that was all supported real nice, and it got it leveled out pretty nice. So after we got done with that, and we got the joists installed, then while we're doing that, we want to make sure that they're level both from front to back of the house and from side to side, which they actually are pretty darn close. So we're not going to be 100% perfect on this, on an old house like this. We're not this old house, this old house crew out in Boston. But you put a level across it from side to side, it's pretty darn level, spot on. And from front to back, it's not bad. We've already got these 2 sheets down to get us started and give us a little platform to put tools back here and get out of the way. Not only did we screw these down with 2.5-inch number 10 deck screws, we also we use an adhesive on it too to glue the boards down and to keep them from squeaking and so forth like that over time. So we also put in we use cedar, red cedar, because we got the hook up on that, having a sawmill. We used cedar to brace in between. We went all the way from front to where we've got our opening down there. There's 2 rows of them to support them. Got a couple more to put in back here where we had to open it up further. So having said that, like I said, the materials on this part here alone, on this section of the house, was $800. You're probably labor-wise, you would probably be looking at probably another $1,500 in labor to rip all this up and replace this. And like I said, your costs are going to vary, but $1,500 is probably going to be average for my area down here. I'm doing this all myself, so it takes a lot longer. If you get a crew of 2 guys in here, you can knock this out pretty fast. One thing we ran into, a lot of these boards, like I said, were so bad with termite damage, and luckily we didn't have the termite damage on the ribbon board or the base plate. We checked all that while we were here, because if it had damage, we would have been taking it out, the sections that were ate up, but we got lucky in that the termites, by the time they got to that, they'd already had their fill just off the joist. You can see the main beam over here. You can see the main beam that runs from the front of the house to the back of the house, and it's pretty well smack dab center in the center of the house. That was in good shape, didn't have any worries there, so we had good support right there. They did a good job. You can't hardly see it in the video here, but there's a nice concrete pad there, and then there's the cinder blocks that are full of concrete in the center that support that beam. There's several of those down through there as well. So now comes the part where we start putting this back together. We're going to have 3 rows of OSB. This outer row here will be cut. The big thing is to kind of get everything nice and square the best you can. It's a little hard because the wall is not really a good measuring point because it's not plumb all the way through. When they hung the drywall prematurely, they didn't make sure that the wall was plumb from end to end. So what we had to do is to make sure that our subfloor was pretty well square is we measured off the ribbon board on the outside of the house there. So we've got a little bit of a gap through here where we cut the old plywood out, but we'll caulk that before we go on with the next layer. So this is going to be a fine floor, good and solid, where it wasn't before. Actually, I'd even stepped through and broke one of these old floor joists walking on it, and we were taking it apart. So today what we're doing is we're working on tying the living room, getting it tied into the kitchen. So we're having to do a little bit of disassembly here of stuff that we'd already done in the kitchen. We're having to cut back. And our goal for today is to get this joist here, this one, the original joist, we're trying to get the flooring cut back on that about halfway to where we can lay, made up our living room flooring to that. So we've got to do some cuts here where we'd already worked on the kitchen. We've got to cut it back. And then when we took this wall out, we didn't take out this the 2x the framing here. So we're taking it out to where we can lay our OSB from the living room down up to this OSB in the kitchen. Over here, we'll have to do the same thing over here on this wall. And this wall is really important to get rid of this framing because this is where our island's going to go, so it'll be in the way of our island. But I could probably cut this out, this 2x here, I'd probably cut it out and get underneath of it with my OSB and not have to mess with that necessarily today. But I couldn't do that over here. And I also need to get this cut back, this board here. So that part there is a lot of the time consuming, which anytime you say time consuming, you're also looking at added cost because it's a lot of cutting and fighting with the stuff to get it to, match up evenly. Like here, we're going to have to re-drywall this. They had this framed out and kind of beamed it up to build the wall and that. So we'll have to take all this out and re-sheetrock this, and it's a tough job to get that to lay in there and look, flawlessly too. The new houses are easy. Everything's square. Well, this house, there's little to anything that's square in one like this. But this is actually a pretty solid old house, though. It's got a real nice foundation. The only thing I would have liked to have seen on this cinder block foundation, I would have liked to have seen them fill the blocks with concrete, which they didn't do, apparently, from what I can tell. Other than that, though, it's got a real nice foundation. It's got one of the taller crawl spaces that I've been in several houses that I've done. So this one you can, if you've got a 5-gallon bucket down there, you can sit on it and work up above you real nicely. So that's nice for the heating and cooling guys too. Having said that, those are other expenses we've been looking at. We've been getting bids on the heating and cooling. This is an 800 square foot house. We have no heating and cooling in it right now. The ductwork's all there, but we don't have the furnace unit or the air conditioning unit. So right now, the bids that we're getting right now on this are ranging anywhere from $700 to $9,500. Everything nowadays is high efficiency, and it's got the computer boards and all that stuff. So the last couple of bids we've gotten from really good contractors in this area have been like $8,400 to $9,500. So we're going to have around $9,000, let's call it average, We're gonna have $9,000 in the heating and cooling, and that's with our ductwork already in place. We've got pretty good ductwork overall. We've got a couple of returns we got to put in. Then we got one other register that we've got to put in the laundry room back here. So, like I said, for $9,000 with the ductwork already there, it'd be well over $10,000 if we had to do all of the ductwork. So this is going to be the laundry room right here, and it's outside the. It's an add-on to the original house here, but this is going to be the laundry room. So we've got to get a register put in there, a heat register put in there. So that's all for right at $9,000. So if we had to have all the ductwork, if this is a new unit put in, we'd probably be well above $10,000 to, have all of the ductwork having to be put in. So the cost for these old houses, have really, they've really gone up in the past several years. So, but a house like this, though, when you go to sell it, this house sits on, I believe it's 3 acres, maybe 4. I think it's 4 acres. This house got 4 acres. So really, the after repair value of this house is probably going to be around $175,000 to $200,000, believe it or not. And this is Iron County. And this is going to be a solid house. I mean, it's going to have all new appliances and that. So, $9,000 to $10,000 for a heating and cooling system. While it's expensive, and you're only talking an 800 square foot house, the resale value on this thing is, we've got houses down the road from us. They've got mobile homes on them, and they've got 3 acres, and they're asking 160 to 170,000 for them, and that's a mobile home. Now they've got a nice garage and that, an outbuilding or two, but still, you can't live in an outbuilding. I guess you could. People live in barn dominiums, but so anyway, that's kind of where we're at on this project. The numbers are adding up. We've still got the other half. We've got the bedroom to do on the other side of that wall there on the floor on it. Hopefully we don't have to go through the extent that we had to go to this one, but right now that's kind of where we're at on cost. So stay tuned for upcoming videos. Hopefully the next time you see us, we'll have all this put back together, and we'll be tearing the bedroom out, and hopefully we have a heating and cooling system going in, because we need to get going on that when it comes to doing the drywall repairs. We've got a lot of them where they'd already hung the drywall. So anyway, that's Tom with the Lindsay Mountain Ranch. Appreciate you hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.